years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, hey everybody, it is the Ramble, and the Ramble goes from now until midnight Eastern Daylight Time on the right coast of the United States of America and out to the rest of the world. And once a week we like to check in with somebody, so let's check in with them right now. Ladies and gentlemen, always a pleasure to talk to the inimitable Larry Bubbles Brown. Yay!
And always a pleasure to talk to the great Alex Bennett.
Yay!
His wide-ranging knowledge is amazing.
Well,
you know, as long as I've known you, I think we're both, I assume we're both kind of atheistic, agnostic, but I've never really talked to you about religion. I always want to get your take on that.
Well, I mean, religion, as Karl Marx once said, is the opiate of the people. And I think no truer statement has been made, to be very honest with you. You know, it's a pacifier, and it's also a con job for people to make money. I mean, why does a priest have a job? Because somebody believes in God, and if they stop believing in God, he's out of work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a doctor who's got to find something wrong with you so he can keep making money. You know, so he has you come back and you do confession, or you do this, you do that. I don't believe in God. People always ask me, "Do you believe in God?" And I went, "No, but I believe in science." You know, I believe there is a wonder and majesty to the universe, which is pretty unexplainable because it's so huge and so vast, and so many years have passed to create just this little planet. Took several billion years. All right, so that being the case, I realize there is something in the universe that's bigger than we are, but I don't think it's a sentient being called God.
Right. It's incredible to me that so many people just fall into these fairy tales, basically what they are, all religions. And
yeah, I just had to go close the door. My door is open and we have guests staying, so I had to close it. What were you saying about so many people? What?
So many people buy into these fairy tales. It's incredible to me. I think it's partly because people know they're going to die and they can't accept that, and they have to think there's something after this.
Well, I don't know that there isn't something after this, but I don't know what it is exactly. You know, and it's not that I want to keep existing. That's not the point here. Okay. It has to do with what is it? How can I put it? It has to do with the fact. Well, let me give you an example. There's a show called The Planets, and it's on the BBC, and they talk about the creation of the planets, and they throw off terms like 4 billion years ago, like it was spare change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 4 billion years ago, Mars was created because blah, 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 blah. What happened was there were all these little particles of dust that came together and made boulders, and then those boulders made bigger boulders, and they clashed into each other, and eventually we had planets. And that process took 2 billion years. Okay? So I'm watching all of this. I'm going, to begin with, how insignificant am I? You know, my lifespan up till now is 79 years, and we're talking about 2 billion years to create a planet. So I'm pretty insignificant. You know, I'm just a passing dust particle in this whole thing. So as I'm watching this, I'm going, well, then, where do I fit into this? You know, and somebody, I'm trying to remember who now, said we are made of the stuff of stars. You know, we are part of all of this. You know, and when we leave this, we go back to that. somehow that makes a little bit of sense, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know what my cosmic being is going to be. I think he's going to be a hypochondriac. That's for damn sure. But I don't know. You know, I mean, what happens when we die? Well, I mean, I don't understand not existing. I can't cope with that. Okay. And my father, I always like to tell this. I said to my father once that I was afraid of death. And I couldn't understand what it was like. And he said, well, you've been there before. Exactly. He said, before you were born, you didn't exist. And eventually you will not exist any longer. So you know what it's like not to exist. And so for the rest of my life, I worried about what it was like before I was born. You know, so... but, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we were all there once before. We were that, and now we're going back to it again. Now, is there reincarnation? Well, if there is reincarnation, you're not aware of it. So, like if I was reincarnated, I don't know that. So, am I then aware that this? It's just, I don't know. I just don't have an answer to it. But I don't believe in God as they believe in God. Okay, so. I hate what people win Academy Awards, and I want to thank God for this. And
or when they win a football game.
Yeah, I want to thank God. Like God is watching a fucking football game and cares about you running down a field to cheering thousands. Okay, no, God doesn't give a shit about that. He's got more important things to do, like try and solve the problem of why he fucked up with the prostate. You know, so
yeah, the poor. There's been many. The human body actually is very poorly designed in many ways. So God should answer for that.
Yeah, he should answer for my prostate problems now. You know, the fact that at 80, my age, there's a 70% chance I have prostate cancer, and it looks like I probably do. No big deal. It's very slow growing. It's a different cancer than any other kind of cancer, but nevertheless. Hey, God, you know, to begin with, you put that prostate there, which is a donut-shaped organ, and in the middle of it, you put the urethra where your pee goes through. And as you get older, it enlarges and squeezes on that, and you have to pee like every 5 minutes. What was with that construction, God, if you're so almighty and so all-knowing? Wouldn't you have just moved the prostate over a couple of inches?
That's worse design than GM on their 80s cars.
I want my, and there's no warranty on this. There's no warranty, you know. So, you know, but tell me about your non-belief in God and what you think happens to us when we die.
Oh, I'd say pretty much what you think. It'd just be non-existence, and
yeah, but
I've had a couple dreams where I've died, and I'm
really?
like I'm floating through space and slowly decaying, and it's very cold, and the dream was actually it wasn't reassuring. I didn't like it.
That is really a Larry Bubbles Brown dream, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had that one twice.
You've had that one. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible, Larry.
Yeah, and it's getting colder and colder and darker and horrible.
Wow, I've never had that dream. Never had a dream about, you know, what it's like after I'm dead. So, you're very fortunate that you've had that dream. Is it a nightmare, or is there something about it?
No, it's not scary, but it's also not reassuring. So,
well, wouldn't that be terrible if you're going through space and you're slowly decaying?
Yeah.
You know, well, then again, that's what happens here during life. So, you know. I mean,
we're slowly decaying.
Oh, I'm slowly.
Or rapidly in my case.
I've got the neuropathy in my feet, and I've got the teeth that are having problems and having to be worked on, and I've got the possible prostate cancer, and I'm slowly decaying. I'm slowly falling apart. I had a friend of mine this last weekend, Jack Garfine, who at 88 got married.
Wow.
And he could barely walk. All right? And I'm about to hit 80. That mean 8 years from now, that's going to be my fate? You know, that it's going to be like that? So maybe I don't want to get older. Maybe eventually death is a welcome relief. That's what I'm.
Somebody said that, who was some famous columnist who was dying, and he said sometimes he looked on death as a kindly uncle.
As a kindly uncle?
Take him away from all this crap.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Kindly uncle.
Kindly Uncle Death.
Kindly Uncle Death. Yeah, and I have a lot. I'm sure you lately have had a lot of people who die. Once you start reaching 60, you start.
Once you get over 60, and then as the years go by, it's just going to accelerate the number of people they're dying.
A lot of deaths really bothered me, but the one that bothered me the most is a woman who died who I had fucked. I don't know, for some reason, that got to me. I was once having sex with this woman, and now she's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other ones that bother me a lot because they're people that are close to me, but that particularly made me feel as though I wasn't getting any younger. That was for damn sure. And she died in her sleep. She had a heart attack. However, you know the story about Bob Rubin, don't you?
I've heard this story. I didn't know it was true or not.
Our friend Bob Rubin, the comedian, was having sex with a woman one night, and she had a heart attack during the act and died right while he was fucking her.
Okay, that's actually true.
It's actually true.
Wow. Okay, I thought it was just a bit he was doing.
I said, how did that affect you? He said, well, I was put off on that for a couple of years, It gives a whole new perspective, I guess, to having sex with somebody, Either that or you, I said to him, here's what one guy says to another one. And I heard that story. I said, did you come first? And he went, well, yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I don't know. But also, isn't there a certain pride you can take is that you fucked a woman to death? That...
Literally fucked her brains out.
Hey, I may have been affected by that, and it may have been a terrible thing, but look at what I did,
That's such a great story.
Yeah, no, it's a terrific story. Are you kidding me? It's the best. But anyway, so here we are talking about death, and I have people I know. I mean, like this guy Jack is 88. Heck, I may get a call tomorrow. Hey, Jack's no longer with us. I mean, he's 88. And as we get older, the people we know are older, so they start dying off. But a lot of them go younger than we are. Like my friend Dennis Hoffa on the Moonlight Bunny Ranch died at 62. I guess they found him in his room dead. He just had a heart attack while he was sleeping. I guess the majority of people have heart attacks. It's while they're sleeping.
Yeah. Partly because of the sleep apnea.
That could be. But anyway, the point is that when that happened, I went, well, he's awfully young. That amazes me. And we had a friend, you and I, Robert Schimmel. Schimmel was a classic case of dying. How do you have a classic case of dying? Well, let me explain this to you, folks. Robert Schimmel had everything wrong with him you could possibly have wrong with you. I mean, he wrote a book called Cancer on $5 a day. He had any number of types of cancers, which he beat, okay? And then he was having kidney problems, and he was waiting on getting a kidney transplant when his daughter takes him out for a drive and plows the car into a tree, and he dies.
Yeah, the car that he had bought for her.
Yeah, but think about that for a second. He had all these other things. He had this, and his life was in turmoil. He had a son who died at like 15 because he had some kind of disease that he constantly went on the road to make money, to pay the doctors, to get him help, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it is one of the most tragic lives. It starts out with his parents who survived a concentration camp, okay? And of all the things that could get him, and all the things were preying upon him, the thing that got him was his daughter driving into a tree.
Yeah.
Go figure,
Somebody should do a movie about his life. It was so interesting.
Yeah, so... Anyway, is this uplifting, folks? If you're listening, do you enjoy
Well,
this?
there's been some very. You and I were always kind of fascinated by death. I mean, so was Woody Allen. So there's some good minds like to talk about it.
I don't. I'm not fascinated by it. I fear it. And most of Woody Allen's work always contained that fear of dying. You know, I think. Did I read somewhere they said he finally has come to terms with it? That as he's
I hadn't heard
older,
that. I'd like to read that.
Maybe that's why his movies aren't as good as they used to be. I don't know. You know, but I mean, he was one who supposedly had a paralyzing fear of death.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, and look how old he is now. So he lived. He's lived long enough. You know, I mean, if I go tomorrow, hey, 79 ain't bad. You know, but I'd like it to be 150. You know, or as my wife puts it, I want to live long enough to see Trump out of office. So, you know, imagine having to die and Trump's still president. That's not good.
That could happen.
That could happen. Well, I have my ex-wife, Ronnie, is dying, literally dying. She has cancer, and we don't know how long she's going to live. But then again, you know, what's really strange is that if you fear death, it's because you know you don't know when you're going to die. But when you know that you are dying, she's almost my age, so she doesn't know how long she has. In spite of the fact that she knows she's dying, you get what I'm saying? So it's kind of the same as you and me. I could tomorrow come down with something and die before she dies of the cancer she's got. So. You know, I often say to her, you know, how do you feel about this? She says, well, I don't know, you know, how long I've got. You know, doctors say it could be this, it could be that. We don't know. We'll see. You know. So, I mean, aren't you the one that said you want to know when?
No, wouldn't it be neat if you knew what day you were going to die, but not the year?
Yeah, that's it. Not the year. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how long I've got, but you know, as I get older, as I reach this age, I start seeing that process happening to me, and it depresses me. I mean, if I'm alone in a room at night and Marjorie is asleep, I've never told her this, I go into a panic over this. Mm-hmm. You know. I mean, I'm spending the rest of my life being depressed over the fact that I'm going to die soon. Now, soon for me, well, soon could be 1 minute. Soon could be another 20 years. My mother died at 100. But nevertheless, that's sooner than a lot of people who are like 30 are looking at being soon. You know? So it's who knows? But a belief in God, I'm jealous of people who believe in God. Because they've got an out. You know, they're comforted by this whole notion that, oh, well, if I die, I'm going to go see Uncle Bob again, and Aunt Mary, and, you know, and Cousin Susan. You know, so that's nice they have that. I don't have that. You don't have that.
No, but you're right, though. If you did have that and truly believed it, you probably would be very happy.
Oh, hey, I'm dying.
But we're not buying it.
Goodbye, I'm going to see your mother, you know, or I'm going to see Aunt Maud. And it's been nice, kids. Goodbye. You know, the death rattle. I told you the story about my friend Marshall Efron, who, and I don't even know if he's still alive, but Marshall Efron, who for years was trying to get on the Dick Cavett show and couldn't quite pull it off until one day they booked him on the Dick Cavett show. So he goes on the Dick Cavett show, and he's on there with this guy named Rodale, who wrote books on how to live longer and so on.
Oh yeah, I know this story.
And while Efron is being interviewed by Cavett and Rodale is on the couch next to him, all of a sudden they hear this weird sound, which is known as a death rattle. It's supposedly some expulsion of air that you give when you die. And they look over, and Rodale is dead. They cancel the show. They don't broadcast it. And they never invite Marshall back because they consider him bad luck.
He's bad luck.
So, what's worse than death? It's getting banned from the Cavett show because you sat next to somebody who was inconsiderate and died.
Oh.
And the guy just giving a speech about here's how you're going to be able to live longer. Oh, good. I think he was the head of Prevention Magazine, was the magazine that he ran. And, when guys go like that, like when Jim Fixx went, remember Jim Fixx, the runner?
Right.
And he'd do this thing on Jim Fixx running. And if you run, you will live longer, blah, blah, blah. Dies running. I felt
jogging, yes.
I felt really good about that one. He
did the guy that invented the power bar died while jogging.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Do you jog? You run?
Yes, I'm going to run after this. This could be our last talk. I don't know.
Yeah, you run. How many days a week do you run?
Every other day, so like four a week.
4 a week. Okay. Do you think that's having any negative effect upon your body?
I think it's pounding my joints pretty badly. Yeah.
Yeah. So running is not the healthiest pastime you could take up.
Probably not. I would think the more I'm reading, I think probably walking is better than running.
Riding a bicycle?
Yeah, that's bad for your prostate.
Is it bad for your prostate? Really?
This heat puts a lot of pressure. It makes there were some guys that were reporting they were impotent. Young guys reporting they were impotent because it puts so much pressure on that nerve in around the prostate. Area.
It's interesting, but my PSA has gone up since I have been working out, and I do the cycle. That's all I do. Do 25 minutes.
That could be it. That seat puts a lot of pressure in that area.
Yeah, it could be, but that could be cause and effect. Yeah, could be. But what the hell? So the running. So you don't know that the running is not necessarily adding to your life, as it were.
It's it keeps the weight off and it's lowered the cholesterol, so it's good for that.
Oh, it's good for that. Yeah, it's good for the heart.
Good for the heart, just the knees and the.
But there are a lot of other exercising you could do that's non-impact.
Yeah.
That would probably be just as good.
I used to swim, which actually adds fat to your body, so that was not good.
Well, it does. No, it does. But it adds muscle, not fat.
It adds an extra because your body, because you submerge yourself in cold water, it starts to develop an extra layer of fat.
Have you ever noticed people who do that? That they swimmers. They have the swimmer's body. Have you ever noticed it? It's very unique. And I used to have swimmer's body because I used to swim a lot. Now I have old man falling apart body.
Old man falling apart body.
Yeah. So everybody, this is where you laugh. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, I think we're star stuff. I think there's something to that. I look at the universe and I go, I'm just such a, what I don't understand is why a guy like Donald Trump doesn't understand that he, in the total scheme of things, is insignificant.
Right.
That this planet still has at least another billion years in it before it falls apart. And that he is just such a grain of sand in that time that he doesn't matter.
Well, that reminds me of the ones John Lovitz was grousing at Carvey about his career, and Carvey said, "John, do you realize after today there's going to be another billion years?" And Lovitz goes, "Well, then this means nothing."
Yes, it means nothing. And then you're an individual component, so it means even less. How many people do we have on the planet Earth right now? So you take that little grain of sand and you separate it into all those people. So why do we even care about a Donald Trump, and why does he care about being king of the world? I don't understand it. It'd be something that we just don't even, So watch that program on space. I think it's on now in various
planets.
The planets.
Okay.
And you just sit there and you're in awe of the fact that all this happened over billions of years, and that you're here for, 80 years, 75
A flash.
years. Oh, it's a flash in the pan. And so let's not take ourselves that seriously.
Right.
And let's spend the time we have here having a good time. Have you had a good time, Bubs?
1 year out of 10, maybe.
I'm asking the wrong guy if he's having fun.
I did find a great place where you and I should retire. There's a place in Southern California called Mount Disappointment.
Really?
Yes. I looked at it on the map. I fell over.
Mount Disappointment?
Mount Disappointment.
Look, find out where it is. Let's see if there's any property available. We have to buy a lot there just to say we own a lot on Mount Disappointment. Only you would find that.
I know. I just was looking at a map and saw it. It jumped out at me. It's Southern California.
Hey, listen, we've run out of time, Bubs.
Well, it's great talking about death and disappointment.
Whenever I call you, you have something that you start me talking about.
Yeah.
And this time it was death, and I feel so much better about death now.
It's been very cathartic.
No, I don't feel better about death. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Thank you, Larry.
Talk to you soon, Alex.
Still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yeah, there's Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Don't we all love Larry? We love Larry. Yes. Yay. It's Larry Bubbles Brown. Let me see here. Let me get some of my audio going good here. So we got a decent sound. There we go. All right, we're fine. Anyway, let me see here. I'm going to open up the Skype line so we can start talking to our citizen panel. And let's see. That Mount Disappointment, by the way, the lines are open now. That Mount Disappointment, I looked it up. It does exist, and it is down in Southern California. And it was named Mount Disappointment because I think it was the Army or somebody wanted to put a base on the highest peak they could find in that area. And they were going to put it there, and then they found another higher peak. So they named that one Mount Disappointment. And there is a Mount Disappointment in Southern California, a place that I think Larry and I will both move to and probably live our lives out in quiet desperation, which would be wonderful. Anyway, so we're waiting for people to call. I'm getting my panel stuff all set up. And, one night nobody's going to call, and then that will be it for me. But our lines are open, folks, if you want to call. So, other than that, nothing much happened to me today. I have a story to tell, but I'll wait till people start calling to tell that story. So anyway, boy, where is everybody? We are on, aren't we? We are putting out a signal, are we not? Yes, we are. So everybody should. Oh, here we go. Here comes Jeff Stein. All right, so we open up Jeff, and I think Jeff was up on last night. Let me see here. Here comes Charles Wallace. Charlie was on last night, and Phil was on last night. Let's see if they all take the places that they were they were in last night. Let's see here. I think Charlie. Let me see here. Phil, you need to turn on your picture. They were in last night.
Oh, really?
Let's see here. I think Charlie. What? Oh, hold on a second.
I
got to do something.
Phil,
hold on a second. Turn on your picture.
Hold on a second. I need
to turn my sound off. Hold on. Hold on a second. There we go. Every now and then that happens, and I have to make sure the sound is turned off. All right, there we go. Now we're fine on that. I got so many things I have to do when I'm a one-man show here. Anyway, where are we? Okay, there we are. All right. Now, if I push the button, boom, there they are. And now I got to add Charlie in here. Hold on a second. Because Charlie wound up calling late last night, so he got in on the other one. Let's see here. Here we go. All right, there we go. You'll see him in a second. There's Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
Hey.
How are you? How you doing? Oh, look at that citizen panel. Aren't they a sweet bunch? I had a nice thing happen. Interesting thing happened to me today. I have these earbuds, these Soundpeat earbuds, these Bluetooth earbuds that I just love. They cost me $49 because I got the most expensive ones because I had the ones that would recharge longer and so on and so forth. But I could have gone with the cheaper ones, which are only $28. But anyways, I was taking my earbud out. I dropped it, and when I picked it up, the thing had split, the front from the back. Okay? Now, I clicked it, put it together, and it still was working, but I couldn't get it to hold together. You would think you could maybe like clip it together, and then you would hear it snap. No, it didn't. So I
had the same problem with $300 pair of Bose.
Yeah.
And if it happens within a year of purchase, they'll send it. They'll give you a new one.
Well, this company, and this thing was only $49. First, I ordered a new pair on Amazon, and then I thought, I'll call them. I'll see what happens. And I called them, and the woman there said, "Oh, well, just give us your email address, and we'll send you some stuff, and they'll want the material of where to send it to, and give us your Amazon order number." Okay. I gave them the Amazon order number. I got a letter tonight. It said, take a picture of it. And I told them I couldn't take a picture of it because I had glued it back together and you couldn't see the damage. I said I could pull it apart for you, but that wouldn't be fair either. And I said, but I glued it together so it would keep working. I said, but take it from me, the thing split apart. And they said, just tell us your address and tell us your name, and we'll send you a new pair. Keep the pair you've got, but we want you to get a new pair. So, ta-da! There's going to say, hopefully I'll get a new pair of Soundpeats. They were very, very good company. So what are you preoccupied there with, Phil?
Oh, nothing. I'm just playing with the Zoom. You got some slapback, or is that me?
That's you.
All right.
Yeah. So you're working on your Zoom, are you?
Yeah, I had a nice evening. I came home from work.
Yeah,
I was hungry, so I had a big glass of juice.
You were peckish.
But it wasn't enough.
You were peckish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I went around the corner to Ruth's Chris, and I made it 1 minute before the end of happy hour.
Mm-hmm.
I had a chopped salad and the ahi tuna.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
And it was good, and iced tea. I didn't have any wine, didn't have any booze, just iced tea.
And what do you put in the iced tea? What do you put in the iced tea to sweeten it?
Splenda.
Very good. Okay.
And then, I was still hungry. So I had a lettuce wedge with blue cheese and bacon. And it was good. They make it cold. Yeah. They just do it perfect.
Well,
now I'm full.
The blue cheese dressing, I'm not going to wear my hat.
It was real blue cheese,
Yeah, blue cheese has no carbs in it.
Yeah.
Okay, and the lettuce has so few carbs in it, you can't even really count them.
Yeah, it's mostly water.
The bacon has no carbs in it. You had the ahi tuna, no carbs.
Right.
Okay.
No carbs.
And you had the, what did you say you started off with?
Chopped salad. It had a couple of croutons in it. Yeah, I ate them. Maybe 4 croutons.
But you can pick the croutons out. 4 croutons isn't going to kill you.
And I picked them up and I put them in my mouth.
See, I should start a show here called "Going on a Diet" and tell it, because these days I see, although I think I'm putting weight on. I haven't weighed myself in so long. My pants still fit me okay, so the tight pants I bought, so I assume I'm okay. But I see so many people who are fat.
Yeah.
Especially in my neighborhood, and I'm not being racist when I'm saying this. And
yes, you are.
No, I think Charlie Charlie knows exactly what I'm going for, right, Charlie?
I sure do.
I think black people have a weight problem.
No, they like big butts.
No.
I can't
Kardashian butt.
That's the excuse. Well, am I right or wrong, Charlie? I mean, there seems to just be
that fried chicken and all that fried food that we eat.
Yeah, that and the fact that a lot of them are not wealthy, and so they have to eat stuff that is what's the word not particularly
bad for you.
bad for you. You know, you can afford to go to Ruth Chris and get yourself no carbs at all. I can go on a no-carb diet, and I have enough money that I can buy bacon and I can buy eggs and I can buy steaks and chicken and things like that. But if you're poor, you know, you're going to eat stuff that just fills you up. And what fills you up the most? Carbs. So, but I see a weight problem among a lot of black people. I mean, in this neighborhood,
there's a weight problem everywhere. Well, now that I'm so conscious of it now, making better choices.
Yeah, but you said this the last time. We'll wait to see if this works out for you, Phil.
I'm very happy with this. You know, I'm happy saying no to the booze. I'm happy saying no to the meat.
Yeah.
Even though
you can have
steaks.
the meat. You can have the meat.
I'm trying to stay on why not
plant-based? Why not the meat?
Well, you choose to go one way or another. I don't want the inflammation that the meat causes.
What inflammation?
So I'm going to try more plant-based things.
I eat nothing but meat, to tell you the damn truth.
You don't have diabetes.
Yeah.
I went to the hospital this morning.
Wait a minute. Meat isn't going to give you diabetes or inflame your diabetes. I'm sorry.
No, but it creates inflammation.
In fact, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's ask the expert on diabetes, Charlie.
No, me too. That's what they recommend me to eat. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they do, but you can also do it plant-based. So I've done it. With
let me tell you something about plant-based diets. Can I tell you something? Do you know that stuff grows out of the ground, and you know where animals shit?
Yeah, but I get the organic.
I make it a policy never to eat anything that grows out of the dirt. Okay? Because they don't call it dirt for nothing. Okay?
I wash it off.
Yeah.
Well, Faye washes it off.
Yes, Jeff.
Well, I probably lost, 40, 50 pounds over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And my strategy has been just eat less.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good strategy. Do you do desserts and things like that?
Occasionally.
See, I'll tell you what it is. I don't do sugar at all. So I don't do desserts. And the reason I don't do the desserts is that sugar is addictive. If you have sugar, you want more sugar. Charlie again knows. Charlie's the expert on this. So if you stay away from sugar, you're not. In other words, if you have sugar, all you want is more sugar. And I find that if you go a couple of weeks without sugar, you'll wean yourself off of it. And quite frankly, I can sit around here and watch people eating chocolate cake and things like that, and it doesn't even bother me. I don't even want it. I'm so weaned off of that. So.
Yeah. Well, I went to Kaiser this morning. I was doing something on Saturday, and I got a blister on the bottom of my toe, and it was hard to walk. And I was worried that because I'm a diabetic, and if Charlie has gone through this, if you get a wound on the bottom of your foot and it gets infected, you could end up losing your toes. So my thought was, get in there, have them look at it, and determine what's going on. And they just said they thought my shoes might have, I should wear sneakers when I'm on my feet that long at a time because it gives more room between the toes.
Well, you finally hit old age where we all wear sneakers.
So I said, should I get orthopedic shoes? And
no.
She said, just wear some wider shoes.
I think I never wear anything else but sneakers. The other day I had to wear some hard shoes because I went to that wedding and my feet were killing me. Am I right, Jeff?
I wear really good shoes. I have a number of pairs of Mephistos. I don't know if you know what Mephisto shoes are, but they're like a boat shoe that has a leather top and is dressy. And I have two or three, actually
We
three
don't
pair.
We don't want to
of
hear
the
how
same
much
style.
money you spend on shoes, Phil.
Well, no, but they're really good shoes.
You're just bragging.
So
You're bragging.
The doctor looked at them and said, Mephisto makes sandals, and you ought to get a pair of those. So that your toes aren't as cramped.
Well, to me, getting sandals is totally giving up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that shorts and those high white socks.
Oh, really? Okay.
And suspenders.
You know something? The other day for the wedding, I only have one pair of black socks. That's all I have.
Every pair of underwear, every pair of socks I own, and every T-shirt is black. I don't have to think about anything in the morning. I get up, I get the black polo, collarless. I got black socks over the calf. They are all exactly the same from Nordstrom's. And then I got Tony. What did I wear? Tommy something or other underwear. I got like 10, 12 pair of those. They're all black. They're all the same. I don't have to worry about a thing. Every morning it's the same.
It's because black is slimming, right, Phil?
Yes.
Yeah. You know what it also says? That guy's wearing black because he's fat.
That's right. And I am.
Yeah, I but I pretty well kept the weight off. I think maybe I put on a couple of pounds, but it doesn't matter. Because I suddenly realized, when I thought I had the prostate cancer, maybe I do, I don't know. And, all of that, I started to think, well, if let's say I drop dead in a couple of years and I didn't have that cheesecake, I mean, they're just things you start going, why am I losing weight? I'm not trying to get laid anymore, so why am I losing weight? But I'm going to keep it off because I feel better with it off. I don't feel as labored.
You can see your toes.
And you saw me a couple of weeks ago, right, Jeff? Did I gain any weight?
No, you look great.
Yeah.
You look fine.
So, but I'm always worried about that.
Jeff, did he have dessert?
No.
No? Okay.
Hey, listen, I just decided that, I have some money, and God forbid I should drop dead and not spend every penny of it. That's the way I look at it. I'm not leaving this for my kids. Girlfriend's got an apartment across town it's worth about $450,000. Hey, she's taken care of. Why don't I just start spending it? It's sitting there in my 401ks and my Vanguards, and all it's doing, like in the last couple of days, thanks to your guy, is losing money.
Yeah.
So it's what have you. It's just life's too short. By the way, did you hear that thing that Bubs came up with, this place we want to move to?
No, what's that?
No,
there's a place in Southern California. You look it up; it's there. Mount Disappointment. And we want to get it. We want to get some property right near Mount Disappointment because it's the perfect place for Bubs and I to live.
I figured you'd want to live in Weed.
No, I used to live near Weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to run a movie projector in Weed. I had a friend who owned a movie theater in Weed. I believe it's called the Weed, and he was in Weed, and he had this movie theater, and he taught me how to change projectors. Those were in the days when you change projectors. Now you just
it wasn't. Isn't Weed a schlep? It's above near Sacramento in the foothills.
No, it's in the it's actually it's a little higher than the foothills of the. It was on the way. I used to work in Klamath Falls, Oregon, so that I used to go down to Weed and so on. But there's the town of Weed, and I suppose I wonder if they probably legalized pot there now.
Yeah, one Sunday I was on a motorcycle ride, and we just kept going and going, and we ended up in Weed, and we had lunch at some place up there, and then turned around.
By the way, Albert, when he was here, had this vaporizer, right? And he had pot in it, obviously, because he can buy medicinal pot in Florida, right? So he had it loaded up and everything. And then he showed me the technology. You ready for this? There is an app. Right? There's an app, and you can, with Bluetooth, hook up to the vape, and then you can tell it how strong you want it to be, what the current level is of the THC that's still in the cartridge, all that. You can run the vape literally from your phone.
When I was a kid, and I would get a cold, my mother would rub that vape on my chest, and then she had a thing that put out like hot water, and it would in the room. So I was vaping all the time.
Yeah.
Especially when I was sick.
Yeah. So, anyway, I thought that was, I love that. Being that I love technology. Well, I've learned to hate technology. Gotten to the point where the thing I hate most about doing this is the technology, because it's always beating me up.
You created your own monster.
I did. So far, my what do you call it? My internet hasn't gone out on this machine, so that seems to be working okay. So, knock on wood. But I mean, it's just that. It's like I was telling, who was I telling to? I think it was Durst yesterday, that it used to be that the height of my technology, and Jeff will remember this, was the light switch. And with that technology, you flip it up, the light goes on. You flip it down, the light goes off. If you flip it up and the light doesn't go on, you go to the light bulb and tap it, and if it still doesn't go on, you unscrew it and put in a new light bulb. And that was it.
And how many DJs did it take to do that?
It was a height. That was the height. That was the height of technology. Yeah. But today, I have to know so much stuff to make this work. And granted, I was into this before any of you out there were into it. Okay, I mean,
I remember when you had your Atari in the living room on the floor in Sausalito.
But it wasn't it wasn't the game Atari.
No, it was a computer.
It was the Atari computer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why was it on the floor all the time?
I don't know.
Every time I saw it.
I always like to do my computing and my video editing stuff like on the floor on the rug. Yeah. I don't know why. I just found it more comfortable there. It was kind of a yoga for me. But anyway, I mean,
I had an Apple IIe.
Apple IIe, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I had the worst of computers. I had a Morrow MD3, and it was CPM. Do you remember CPM before DOS or around the same time?
Yeah. But
what a loser.
Well, I had an Atari, and I had an Atari 400, and then I went up to the 800, which had its built-in really nice keyboard, and but it was only 400 characters across, as opposed to 800, which was what they did later on.
Mine was like 80 characters.
Huh?
80 characters, and I had a green screen.
Really? Well, I had a green screen too, but the Atari went out of business, and all the guys who were at Atari went over to another company, and they started a thing called the Amiga. And the Amiga was, in and of itself, the best computer ever built for those times. And I'm including the Apple, I'm including the IBM. It was It was singularly the most sophisticated computer around. And
I had a Commodore PET also.
Well, Commodore bought up Amiga, or bought the Amiga from these guys that built it, and so it was literally called a Commodore. I think Commodore Amiga.
I don't remember if it was a reel-to-reel or a cassette that it used to.
Well, forget about the Commodore. It was a piece of shit. But the Amiga was the first computer that was made entirely around a graphic interface. In other words, it was meant to put out full television quality graphics. Do you know what I'm talking about, Charlie? You seem to be nodding approval on that when I mentioned
Well, that
Amiga.
sounds familiar. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And that's why my friends were able to build a thing called the video toaster that you put in the Amiga, and it turned it literally into a television studio in a box. And it because this computer was capable of doing that. They couldn't build it for the Apple. They couldn't build at that time. They couldn't build it for the PC because they didn't. The end product was not what they called an NTSC output, which was a television output, but it was with the Amiga, and they were able to do it with the Amiga, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful computer. But of course, it went out of business. You know.
You took me to a place down just south of Market where it was like on the second floor, and I don't remember if it was a Lucas thing or something. They had a hallway, and the guy at the end of the hallway had a video camera, and then they had like these banks of 35 millimeter projectors. There was like 10 projectors in the bank, and they had some sort of program that was run by a reel-to-reel, and they would dissolve the different photos, and they made a video of it. And I thought it was just the neatest thing in the world, and that had to be around 1980.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
You took me there.
But I don't know what it was.
Could it have been Light in Motion or one of those? It was on the second floor, and it was very cool. And
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
Yes, Jeff. He does. He has an idea of what you're talking about. Jeff.
Yeah.
No, I really don't. But did you guys ever use this AutoCAD program?
Well, I know of AutoCAD.
Something similar.
I know of AutoCAD.
You probably used that as an engineer.
Hmm?
Didn't you use AutoCAD? No, okay.
A lot of people in engineering used AutoCAD.
Yeah. So AutoCAD was originally being sold on all the Apple computers, and that was a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somewhere in the middle, after a year or so, Apple said, "We're not going to support that anymore."
Did they make their own?
No.
AutoCAD, though, if I remember correctly, AutoCAD had its main offices, and may still have it. I think
Sausalito?
No, Marin
Probably.
County. Marin County, San Rafael, outside of San Rafael.
Yeah, okay. I thought they were in
Nevada.
Marin.
Nevada.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you guys knew what the relationship that screwed the whole thing up. But
well, a lot of those companies went out of business because, technology came along and made it a thing of the past, is what happened.
Oh.
You know, I know that, for instance, today, what was done with the video toaster, and what later was done with a thing that the company I worked for, Play, built called the Trinity, which was a big box, which we called a television studio in a box, which it truly was. Today, all that can be done with software. I'm doing it now. This thing I'm using to switch this show does essentially what the Trinity used to do, and it's a free software program running on my computer. So all these things, went out of business just because newer technology replaced it.
Does the hard switch, like the toaster, is it more consistent than the software? Or
the toaster wasn't a hard switch; it was all software.
It was all software.
But you needed.
What about?
But you needed this card.
Like the
you needed this
Blackmagic
card that went into the
CPU?
into the CPU, into the computer. It went into a slot because it was that card that was doing the work. Well, that made it not a software program, but really a hardware program that was software driven.
I see.
Okay.
Well, everything's software driven in one way or another.
Yeah. So, but that has changed. So far as Black Magic is concerned, I think as a company they fucking suck. Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah. But that's a
who
physical switch.
who wants to pay those? No, they're not physical switch. A lot of their stuff is software.
Well, I've seen it. It's a monitor.
No. That's one of their things, but basically they have a lot of software as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they sell, because most stuff can be driven by software now. I mean, as I say, this program's going out completely using software. There's no. I'm trying to think. Is there any hardware? The hardware I'm using. The hardware I'm using is the audio board. That's it. It's the only piece of hardware I have in here, and we could say that the switcher I'm using, the thing that does that, folks, is that's
you see it on the YouTube.
Well, the thing that's switching it is hardware. You know, the thing that's making it run is software. So it's. But all those things that were once big suddenly became nothing.
Do you remember computers like the K-Pro and the Osborne and the Compact that the face came off and it had a little tiny 4-inch screen that only had a few characters across?
Never had anything to do with any of those computers.
Did you know what they were?
Yeah, I knew what they were. I just didn't like them.
They were CP/M.
I mean, up until a few years ago, I was a PC guy most of the time. I knew people that were like Mac users, but I considered them doofuses.
The guy who invented CP/M got the call first from IBM and didn't return the call. Gates returned the call and sold them DOS. And the rest is history.
Well, I mean, but he didn't invent DOS.
No, he bought it from somebody.
I can't remember the company, but he bought it for, I think, 50 grand. And then he did a few tweaks to it and then walked into IBM and said, here's your operating system. And they loved it. They already had an operating system. In fact, I think they were CP/M, as a matter of fact, at IBM.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would they have called the guy?
Because they were looking for their own proprietary system. So here's how Bill Gates became the one decision Bill Gates made that made him wealthy. Okay, he went into IBM. He said, "Here it is," and they they looked at it and they used it and they said, "Yep, we want it." And they said, "How much?" He said, "Well, we don't want to sell it to you. We want to let you, use it from us. And what we want is we want the rights to use it in other computers. But here we will call it, what did they name it? IBM DOS or whatever.
Yeah.
And they then merchandise the same thing under something called MS-DOS that other companies could do. And that's how he made money, was by allowing them to use it proprietarily under one name, but being allowed to use it and give it to other people under another name. And IBM went along with that. Probably a decision they're unhappy about to this day.
A lot of companies made those mistakes, like Kodak. And there was another company that gave Apple, Steve Jobs, I believe, a whole the mouse and a whole bunch of
that was
Xerox did the mouse.
Xerox.
It was Park Xerox. Park Xerox,
yeah.
which was in near San Jose, and he went in there and they said, "Anything you like here?" And he looked at everything. Walked out with the mouse and the graphical user interface again for about 50 grand, and it was the worst decision that Xerox ever made.
Right.
Yeah. But they didn't see any value in it.
No.
So all it takes is for somebody to see the value in it and then to make it useful. And that was
Isn't it amazing that Gates and Jobs did basically the same thing, products that they that made them famous? if it wasn't for the graphic interface on Apple computers, it wouldn't have been what it is today. Now, of course, the iPod and the iPhone.
You don't know that Jobs wouldn't have had somebody come in and create a user interface for him or whatever. But here was something that already existed, and the graphical user interface operated with the mouse, so the two went hand in hand with each other. Okay, so that's what we came up with, and so here we go, folks. The mouse. We still use it to this day. The only thing that's modernized about it is it's wireless, and it's...
you see those ones that go on your fingers, and it's a virtual keyboard and everything? But they go on like little tips on your fingers, and then you type.
Yeah. So is anybody else going to call tonight? Is there a possibility that somebody else is going to call this program, or... What did I do to offend you, or did Phil chase you off last night? We got a lot of heat for you about you last night on our Facebook page.
Yeah, well, it's the usual suspects.
What do you mean it's the usual suspects? I don't know those usual suspects. One of them I didn't know at all.
Yeah. Well, it's the usual suspects, and if you talk about something controversial and it's something that people don't want to hear.
No, they weren't saying they didn't want to hear what you had to say. They just say you were making an asshole of yourself last night.
Well, that's the way they felt. I was being honest with my thoughts, and if they didn't like it, they can stick it.
Oh, okay. So, in other words, people who disagree with you can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, kind of like those people. They disagreed with me.
It's funny, but as egotistical as I am, when people have had a complaint about me, I've paid attention to it.
Yeah, not me. I say fuck them.
So does anybody else want to call? Because I do want to get into some politics stuff, and I want some people who are, Charlie and Jeff are good at this, but I also need some... I need a Ray Renati who gets his dander up or whatever, or his dander down, or whatever.
Or Josh.
First of all, Josh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ooh, he hasn't been here this week, has he? No. But he may be, who knows, he may be away on vacation for all we know.
It's been vacation. I was in Maine for a while.
You were in Maine?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
On the island.
Oh, yeah? Which island is that? Is that the one that starts with an A, I think? Or
No, it's Tom's Island.
Tom's Island, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an island that my wife's father bought it.
Wow.
From a guy who was working with him.
Named Tom?
He said, my uncle or my grandfather has this island, and he really doesn't use it, so... If you'd like to buy it, you can have it.
Wow.
For $500.
Unbelievable.
$500 for an island?
When was this? 1912?
Something like that.
Well,
probably in the 50s, 60s.
And when you were up there recently, right?
Just for last week, yeah.
Now, is there a house on this island and water and electricity?
I wouldn't call it a house.
Yeah.
By a full dimension. It has a cab. I mean, you can, 2 people can, 3 people, 4 people can sleep in it.
Yeah.
You could theoretically cook outside.
Oops. Guess what he's doing?
There's Ray.
Hello.
It's Ray.
I'll turn off my mic. I heard you wanted people. I'm on my bike. I'm on my bike, like on the streets.
Bubble says that can affect your prostate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you gotta live.
Yeah, you're gonna wind up having.
Oh, I got my picture.
We also don't have a picture from you at all.
No, it's just those girls I got in there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to get my video.
Because
going
what happens is when I don't have your
video.
There we go. There he is. Okay. Now I can go to this.
What's that metronome-like thing?
Oh, that's the stoplight for deaf people.
Oh.
Yeah.
If they're deaf, how do they hear it?
I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm on my bike. I'm gonna have to only.
Hey, if they're deaf, how do they hear the whistle?
I mean, blind. Shit. I was getting mixed up.
Are you sweating, by the way? It looks like you're sweating.
It's 200
Yeah, it's
degrees
hot as hell out
today.
here, man. That's why I waited till now. It was like 100 and something today.
Really?
Yeah.
105.
113 here.
Fuck.
Was it 113?
Yeah.
Well, you
boy,
live in.
I bet you
He lives in
didn't. I
purgatory.
bet you didn't even leave the house, Charlie.
Sure, they had to go bowling this morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Bowling. I got to get my dander up here.
Oh,
All right.
Oh, okay. Get you.
God damn that Trump.
And you.
What did he do? I don't even know what he did. What did he do?
And
today?
somehow
He
you
must have
keep
done
going.
something.
You keep going from portrait to landscape because you can't keep
Oh,
your
I'm sorry,
phone.
because I'm moving. Here, I'll show you.
Look at that.
There we
folks. There we go.
Much
Oh,
better.
that's a nice scene. I like that. It's kind of like.
You like that?
Yeah, I kind of feel
I hope
like
I don't
I'm
die.
there. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
here we
we
go.
don't want to see you get hit by a car, though.
No, that would suck.
Yeah.
Well, I got it here on the front of my handlebars.
Yeah.
But you know what? I probably shouldn't do it because it's too dangerous.
Here comes Tony Magno, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see.
Well, you
here.
got people now.
Well, I'm starting to get people. Well, I've had people. I've had the quality people call early.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And all this.
Yeah. Yeah. Tony's
Yeah.
okay. Tony's back in the space where he was last night. That's the fun part about it.
Yeah.
And look, Phil's going to get coffee.
I'm getting myself tea.
You look a little trimmer, Phil. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
starving himself to death.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been talking to several people the last couple of days, one of which was my wife, my ex-wife, Ronnie. Why, wait a minute, hold on a second. Why, you look, your face is all red, Tony.
Tony,
Oh, yeah. Whoa. No, it's your
Yes.
lighting.
To the beach today or
it's
something?
color balance.
No,
Yeah.
Your white balance is fucked up.
his color
Even the
balance is off.
wallpaper looks a little reddish.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Should I log off? Or
No.
log back in?
No. It won't do
I was
anything.
actually in the house all day. I was just recluse all day, really.
I mean, do you have a red
Wow.
light on in the room?
Yeah, maybe I bought the lamp here.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Even the wall looks real.
Hold on, I'll go to the other room.
It's blood.
Yeah. Yeah. It's blood.
We finally did
Oh,
Mom in.
blood.
Oh,
Well,
it's the
there
red on
we
your
go.
shirt.
Yeah, that's better.
Reflecting.
Yeah, I don't know what was
There you
there,
go.
but yeah.
Oh, now we
red
have to
light.
look at the wallpaper or the curtains.
There we go.
So we can see into the neighbor's house through a window.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's your
Oh,
murder.
rear window
Yeah.
and Psycho going on.
Yeah, both at the
She's
same
sleep.
time. The wallpaper is
I bet
Psycho
you-
and the window is Rear Window. Yeah. That's good.
It's your murder later.
Now, if you just had a bird fly into the house, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, where was I? So anyway, I was talking to my wife, ex-wife, Ronnie, and then I was talking to, who was I talking to? I was talking to Pearl today. Was it Pearl? No. Who was it I was talking to? And everybody was saying that whole death of what's his name?
Jeff.
Jeff, not
Epstein.
Jeff. What do you
Epstein.
Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein. Jeff Epstein. Yeah, when you say
Jeff is dead? Oh,
Good old Jeff.
man.
somehow when I
Oh,
hear
Jeffy poo.
hate
hear the
that name.
term, hello there, Kevin, how are you? Let
Yeah.
me see here. Let me turn him on here. There we go. There's Kevin. That they were all of the feeling that something was phony about the death of Epstein. You know, that somehow they just can't understand how a guy who's in his cell with a bunk bed could kill himself.
Yeah.
And then they
It's
were
easy. He used the sheet and he hung himself.
But how?
No, but that's the question. He had to really do something to snap his neck. He had to physically himself do something to snap his neck.
He was a smart enough guy to make $500 million.
Well, Robin Williams did the same thing.
Oh, really?
Robin Williams hung himself on the doorknob with a belt.
Really?
Doorknob?
And Carradine Carradine hung himself in a closet.
No, but that was a sexual.
Was
thing.
it?
That was a sexual
What was it
thing.
called? Yeah, that's what it was.
That was.
How do you know? How do you know Epstein wasn't having sex in the cell?
He was trying auto asphyxiation.
He didn't snap his neck. He asphyxiated himself.
Yeah, but Robin did what though?
He asphyxiated. They both asphyxiated. They just choked themselves to death by leaning forward so hard in the thing they pass out and die.
No, but this was so hard that it broke a bone in his neck.
Oh, okay.
All right. Which
he might have used leverage. He might have used some leverage. I don't know.
Well, they say he would have had to, like, just pull down on it and so on in order to make that happen.
That's what happens when you jump off the top bunk down to the floor, and you don't put your feet down.
Where are you hooking the belt to? Where are you hooking the
top
sheet
bunk.
to? But the top
got
bunk.
two bunks.
How high do you think that bunk is? If I stood up,
At least 5 feet.
Yeah, that's about that would be about Epstein, if he had jumped off the bunk bed, would have landed on his feet with a lot of slack on the.
Not if you push your feet out and you land on your ass. Then your neck's going to stay up there and your ass is going to hit the floor.
All right. Well, anyway, there's a lot of people who are going. We don't exactly buy this story.
Guy's dead. He did it. Nobody else was in the cell. He, his life was over. He died. Let people pick at his bones and take his money, and they'll move on.
Well, I don't know. Everybody's pissed he's dead, and quite frankly, I would think a lot of people would be happy he was dead.
True.
Are you looking for a townhouse?
By the way, Ray, turn off your audio, will you? Because we're hearing your. We're hearing
okay.
pedal.
Well, I'm trying to make you feel like you're outside.
Oh, we do feel outside. Who's calling us? I'm not going to take it. It's audio only, and I don't want to take it. Okay, and it looks to me like
look at the phone number.
No, it looks to me like it's what's his name.
Well, if it's 910, it's Doug.
Doug. 916 it was.
916 is Sacramento.
It is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah.
It might have been Jack, maybe. No, it wouldn't be Jack.
Jack's not Sacramento.
Who's Sacramento?
Mike or something.
Dallas, isn't he?
Mike Allen's in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mike doesn't call this show.
Yeah.
So
lucky you.
Lucky for me. I don't know if I could take that cancerous laugh that often. Yeah. Good.
He does comment in the chat room.
God, I felt like I was getting a call from Mike Allen there for a moment. But anyway, where was I? Oh, so anyway, that seems to be running around that little piece of whatever, Then they caught the guy who was shooting at the cops down in Philadelphia.
He gave up.
Huh?
Gave up.
He finally gave up. Yeah, I mean.
He ran out of pizza.
Yeah. They say he may get life in prison for this.
That'd be an improvement.
Well, it wasn't like he was shooting innocent people.
Yeah, okay.
Well, no, he wasn't shooting innocent people. I consider innocent people who don't have guns. Okay? But if you've got a gun and you then get shot, at least you had a fight. You supposedly had a fighting chance.
Guys are just doing their jobs. They got families. They get up in the morning. Their family hopes they're going to come home at night. Mm-hmm. They go. They do the job. This guy broke the law. He was getting served with a subpoena, not a subpoena. He was getting arrested, and he opens up on these guys instead of just going to court, getting an attorney, and using his drug money.
Most of the time, these cops do come home. Yeah. In a great majority of the time.
One of them committed suicide last night in New York.
There have been 6 police suicides in New York since the beginning of the year.
9?
6 maybe, or 9, something like that. And the mayor has started a task force to try and figure out why this is going on. He
wants them to continue to do it.
No, stop it. What they want to know what's causing these cops to commit suicide. And I can think of other jobs where people commit suicide like crazy. Postal employees commit suicide like crazy.
Oh, I don't see how people can work in a post office. I walk in there, and if you mail something, they circle the thing. They tell you about the tracking number.
Oh, yeah,
they run you
right.
through this routine each and every time. It's the exact same routine for each person. Do you have anything that's caustic in there? Do you have any batteries or, stuff that you shouldn't mail? And it's the exact same thing. They must go to sleep at night dreaming that, and I can see why.
How about going from house to house, dropping stuff in those mailboxes? Now I got to tell you, I got a mailman here who's a really nice guy, and he seems pretty sane. He seems like he really actually enjoys the job, but I for the life of me can't understand what he enjoys about it. And you know what else I thought would drive you nuts? And I bet there's a great suicide rate among them. Dentists.
Yeah, there is a high suicide rate amongst dentists.
Because the just being a dentist is like, it's just carpentry is what it is. Although I got to say, this new dentist of mine is a fucking artist. But it's pretty much one mouth after another doing the same goddamn thing. It's just in a different tooth.
Well, I guess after working on your teeth, they might want to commit suicide. But there's some very good-looking people out there.
Just the breath alone will get them. I want you to know I'm getting close to getting a perfect mouth here. And I don't know why I'm doing that, because I'll then probably drop dead, and I will spend all that money.
Are you going to whiten your teeth? No. With that bright smile thing?
No. Because whitened teeth look white.
Yeah.
They look like you put a bunch of chiclets in your mouth.
I was thinking about doing it.
Yeah. Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Cheaper.
So you want to move with Bubs and I to Mount Disappointment in Southern California?
Hey, sure. Why not?
There's an actual mountain down there called Mount Disappointment.
Where at?
It's I'm trying to remember now. Let me look it up here. A second. Mount.
I know. I used to go to a place outside Grass Valley, but outside Yuba City called Poverty Hill.
Mount Disappointment, California. Here we go. It is a mountain in the San Gabriel Mountains in Los Angeles County, California, with a summit elevation of 5,963 feet. It was named Mount Disappointment in 1894 when USGS surveyors sighted it from the Santa Susana Mountains. Believing it to be the highest point in the immediate area, they decided to use it as the next triangulation point. But when they reached the summit, however, they discovered that the San Gabriel Peak, half a mile to the east, was 167 feet higher, and it was a disappointment. So they were moved there. They were moved there instead. A Nike missile site was located there in 1955, and the summit was flattened to accommodate it. The missile site was abandoned in 1965. The mountaintop is now an important telecommunications site for commercial and government organizations, but it was named Mount Disappointment because it wasn't as high as they thought it was going to be. And that's where
a great place to live.
That's a disappointment.
Yeah, I want that on my my mail.
Those old Nike missile sites, they had silos, and people turned those into houses. And very nice.
Well, no,
I need air conditioning because they were in the mountain.
I knew a guy when I was with my friends at
Play?
What was it? No, not Play. Play Incorporated. Wait a minute, no, not Play. New Tech in Topeka, Kansas. The guy who ran it, Tim Jennison, had learned how to fly a helicopter. So one day he says, "You want to go for a helicopter ride?" So I said, "Cool, we'll go for a helicopter ride." So he goes, and we're going over the Kansas plains there, and it's just wonderful to see all that. And he brings down the helicopter near a fence, and he said, "Okay, we're going to hop the fence." So he takes a helicopter, and we hop the fence. He says, "I want you to meet a friend of mine." And he takes me in, and what we go into is a missile silo. And this guy had bought this missile silo and was using it as a business to build stuff in the silo. And so literally at one point I went in and looked at the silo itself, and there was the silo, but there wasn't a missile in it anymore, obviously. But a lot of people had bought up those missile silos, and there were a lot of them in that part of the country at the time to live in. They made great accommodations, you know, and it was a great story for me to tell people years afterwards, and including right now. So, you know, but there were a lot of missile silos there at the time.
I love helicopters. You know, when you start going up, it's just an unbelievable feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Ray.
Yeah, I just stopped because of a huge coincidence. My first wife, her nickname was Mount Disappointment. It was amazing because every time she mounted me, disappointment.
It was a disappointment.
Okay. Was she Jewish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit of my history of going in helicopters and going to silos out in the middle of nowhere. But there were a lot of them out there, and people did buy them up, you know. Anyway, let me see here. There's another big.
How to live in Kansas?
Today our economy got slightly better. I think we closed off at what, 100 something? On the plus side, but that hardly makes up for the losses that we had earlier this week. So I hope all of you have a 401k or kissing your money goodbye.
Just remember, your loss is somebody else's gain.
That's not.
Yeah. I wonder how much of a gain Trump is making off of all of this, knowing what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
You know, but because he won't tell us how much he's worth and what his investments are, we can't judge whether he isn't using this as a big scheme to make himself a lot of money.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's going to write it off anyway.
What'd you say?
Emoluments clause.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He's going to write it off anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact of the matter is that it's not working out too well, this whole tariff thing and all of his the way he's handling the money, because what it's doing is it's affecting all the foreign markets who are what are you doing, Phil? Are you trying to distract us? What? You're leaving because you don't want to get into this conversation? Okay, fine. Because then I'll mention while he's gone, I will mention the two congresswomen who weren't allowed into Israel.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's the craziest thing?
Rashida Tlaib, or Taib, actually, Tlaib, I don't know how exactly you pronounce it, and Ilhan Omar were denied permission to enter Israel with a bunch of other congressmen.
Right after his tweet.
Because they are supposedly they are anti-Israel, and
yeah, they were allowed until his tweet.
Yeah, then he made a tweet, and all of a sudden they weren't allowed any longer.
Yeah, they were all set up to go, and then all of a sudden they couldn't.
Yeah, they were all set. And as a matter of fact, what's his name, Netanyahu, which is a merger of Netscape and Yahoo. Netanyahu, about 4 months ago, said, "I'd like any United States congressman who wants to come over and see Israel to come be our guest," and so they took him up on the offer. And you're just trying to distract us, Phil, with that thing that you keep refocusing your camera and everything.
I don't see.
If you feel like joining in on the conversation, join in on it, but take that statue away, will you? He's trying to be good, but he can't be good without being bad.
He's a bad boy.
Yeah.
I want to know when.
Anyway, what were you saying, Jeff?
When is Phil going to Israel?
Yeah, when are you going to Israel, Phil?
He's not going to leave the country.
I actually have 2 tickets, and they're standby tickets, friends and family on Delta. And I was thinking about using them to go to Israel, but I'm afraid to use standby tickets because if you don't carry on and you check in like all your camera equipment and scuba equipment, you may not pair up. So I was a little concerned about that. And so, yeah, I want to go to Israel, and it'll happen soon.
Yeah.
Let's go to Palestine first and come in that way.
Well, that,
You had to think about that one for a second, didn't you?
They support the BDS movement as well. And Talib and Omar, I think they were only looking for a photo opportunity.
No, they weren't looking for.
I think it was wrong.
They weren't looking for a photo opportunity, Phil. They were actually going over there to talk to some. What do we call it?
The protest.
No, some organizations that deal with immigrants and things like that.
Like Hamas.
No, Phil, they weren't going to go talk to Hamas. But the reason that was given. Will you let me finish, Phil? The reason they were going there was to talk to some human rights groups and things like that are over there, and they had a very good reason for going. And the fact that they were denied entrance to Israel, they say people tend to blame on Trump because of a tweet he did, which then made the Israelis react. And the fact of the matter is that a lot of Trump detractors, but also Republicans, are mad at what he did.
I'm not mad, but I don't think that they should have been excluded.
Exactly. Well, that's.
I don't think that was right.
Yeah,
and it's doing to them what they do to us. And that's not right.
And let's be. You're going to disagree with the statement I'm about to make, Phil, but it's you can be against Israel and not be anti-Semitic. Okay, to equate being anti-Israel with being and against their political philosophies, and to be anti-Semitic are 2 entirely different things.
Glad you believe that.
Well, no, I've always been.
The tweet that he put out there was putting words in there. I mean, he was labeling them as hate.
They are hate.
No, they're not.
But
Phil.
just because they're hate, I don't think that they should be excluded.
No, they're not.
Because he
I
labeled
believe
them
in free speech.
They're not hate.
He labeled them as
They
such.
are against the policies of Israel, which is fine.
Yes, they are.
Because Israel is a political state. I am a Jew. I do not consider myself an Israeli, and I do not agree with the policies of Israel. Okay? Does that make me anti-Semitic, Phil? I doubt if it does, because I'm Jewish.
No, it makes you a moron, but maybe not anti-Semitic.
Oh, okay. Well, I certainly, if I'm a moron, then I'm one of your people. Are you anti-moronic? But I think that it was. I'm glad you felt that it was wrong of them to keep them out. They are congressmen. They are congressmen, and they should be allowed in the country. No one says Netanyahu has to meet with them, or they have to roll out the red carpet.
If the Israelis aren't doing anything that is counter to human rights, they should be able to see it. And now, even though they were going to report it as, yes, they are doing it when they're not.
You don't know how they were going to report it, Phil, because they never had the opportunity to do it.
Talib and Omar do it that way when they don't go there.
I have never found Talib or Omar, except Omar said one thing early on, and people took it as being anti-Semitic, but it wasn't. She just wasn't pro-Israel. And how can you be pro-Israel if Israel has been someone who has been going against your people for years? You're going to have a certain prejudice against a country that has been oppressive towards your people, or what you perceive to be oppressive towards your people. So I think her dislike of Israel is logical. Okay?
And
you may not agree with it, but it's logical. It comes from a logical place.
Her people have been going after the Israelis and the Jews for thousands of years, since the time of Abraham.
Phil, since the time of, well, maybe we pissed them off. What are we doing to piss them off?
We went the wrong way.
I honestly
was to the left.
I honestly believe, Phil, for instance, if Hitler had met you and killed you, he would have been satisfied and stopped there. Okay? So,
Omar and Tlaib are like Hitler. And, the Israelis
like
wouldn't
Hitler?
let Hitler.
He could
The
have
Israelis wouldn't let Hitler visit Israel. Why let Hitler likes of Omar and Tlaib do it? They're anti-Semites.
I don't know. They're not anti-Semites. They are anti.
And they support the BDS movement.
They are
which is
the what movement?
Is BDS the movement that is that doesn't want anyone to trade with Israel?
Boycott Israel, yeah.
Yeah, the boycott Israel.
So,
so
I mean, I don't believe in boycotts, but if they feel there should be a boycott, then so be it. I mean, what's the big deal there? I mean, they have a right to dislike Israel. I dislike Israel because I don't like their politics, and I don't like the way they've been treating other people, and I think that they do not represent. I don't like them to call themselves a Jewish state because I don't consider them the Jewish state. They're not my state, and I'm Jewish. And I don't like the fact that they can go around and have some bad fucking policies, and then it reflects against my people because they go, oh, well.
Survive?
Huh?
I mean, trying to survive is a bad policy?
Well, they're trying to survive in a place where they displaced other people who are trying to survive.
Uh-huh. Well, if you got a beef with the UN,
wait a minute.
beef with the English.
I have a beef. I have a big beef with the UN because I think that was a big mistake they made back then. But they made it, and so we have to live with it. And it's now how many years later? And so I think that the Islamics have to get along with the idea that, hey, this is the way things are. There's no going back on this, but I think somewhere along the line, everybody's got to kind of cool down, and everybody's got to start treating each other decently. And
that's starting to happen with the Saudis. But, you look
Saudis,
at Israel and you see the technology.
The fucking Saudis, Phil? With the Saudis? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, the Saudi government is being more pro-Israel than they've ever been.
Oh yeah, they're pro-Israel, but they don't mind killing people like crazy.
Well, then why would you support them over Israel?
I don't support the Saudis. Never have.
Well,
I consider the Saudis as bad as the Israelis.
All the good that this country did for Kuwait and for a number of the Arab Emirates and all of these countries that benefited from friendship with the United States, they don't do much to help the peace within the Middle East. They like this tension. They like this. The Palestinians are not being helped by these people with all this oil money because they want them to be a thorn in the side of Israel. And I think that things are coming around, but it's and then you ask yourself, how many Nobel Prize winners have come out of the Middle East? Where do they come out of? They come out of Israel. How many? What have they given the world?
What does that matter? What does that matter?
It matters a lot.
No,
they spend their money on war
and
on weapons and on hate. And
am I mistaken? But there was was it Yasser Arafat that won a Nobel?
Yeah.
Okay, well then shut the fuck up.
Yasser Arafat was a crook.
No, wait a minute, Phil. You just said that those people do not have Nobel Prize winners, and I named
for science, Nobel for science.
What?
Not Nobel for talking peace.
I see. Okay, there's only
what scientific things have they given the world?
I don't give a shit what they've given the world. The science is not their bailiwick. Yes, Charlie. Say what you were going to say.
Well, Muslims save science. When we're in the Dark Ages and there's no science going on in Europe, the Muslims save science.
Well, it's nice to credit what happened 800 or 1,000 years ago, 800 years ago.
Shoulder of giants.
Yeah. And Leonardo da Vinci and Galileo and all of these people.
Phil, you're the kind of asshole that would believe there was no culture in the. You're not listening to me.
I'm listening. You're saying that Charlie says they gave something to the world 800 years ago.
The concept of the zero is Arabic. We didn't even have a zero until Arabic came up with it.
From zero to hero.
See, now you make a joke when you don't have an answer.
Why not?
You're gonna have to pressure him.
Yeah. How come all you Jews answer a question with a question? Why
half the stars in the sky are named after Arabic words.
Yeah, well, we got our language from the Arabics, but
Arabic numerals.
So
we got.
What kind of numbers do we use?
You're the kind of dope who would say
today.
Today we use those numbers.
Oh, isn't that nice? I use my fingers.
I just felt lightheaded, like I was going to pass out from all of this. I'm serious.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, you're the kind of dope, Phil, who would believe that because people lived in the jungle, they didn't have culture. And that there are certain things you've got to do in order to be part of a cultured society, like invent something for science. You can't give us the zero. That doesn't matter. You have to come up with something like a cure for rabies. Come on, Phil. Come on.
It wasn't the Greeks that.
Let's say they gave nothing to anybody. They're human beings, Phil. They're human beings, and they deserve to be treated like human beings.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Let this then be the first step towards international brotherhood. Any thought on this at all, Jeff? I notice your mic is off. You have a thought on this?
I will give you my 2 cents. I've been to Israel twice.
Yeah.
For business.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting country. It's got a lot of problems. And if you look at the problems that it had maybe solved 20 years ago, they didn't get any better, did they? They're pretty much a problem country. And I don't think they're just the Hebrews people, if you want to call them the Israelis, causing the problems. There's a lot of people in that area of that country that are very angry about all kinds of things. And I don't see any real solutions to that area. And Trump adding to it? What an asshole. That's what I say.
Huh. The zero was invented independently.
See, he wasn't even listening to you, Jeff. He wasn't even listening to you. He wasn't even listening to you.
People are just trying to go to work. They got kids, just like anybody else. And they want to have a better life. And it's a tough place to have as good a life as we do in the United States. I can tell you.
Yeah.
And you could say, okay, if you're an engineer here, it's different than being an engineer there.
Yeah.
If you're a doctor here, you're a lot more successful than you are there.
And now we're going to hear what Phil found out about the zero.
It was invented by the Indians from India.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Its credit for the invention of the zero goes to an Indian mathematicians, and the number first appears in a book about arithmetic written by an Indian mathematician. Let's try the pronunciation.
Okay.
Brahmagupta.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute.
Brahmagupta.
Let's back off here for a second, Phil. And you don't consider India like one of those third world countries?
you ever seen one of those Tata cars? They also own Land Rover and Jaguar.
Yeah, like we're going from the invention of the Zero to Land Rovers. Come on, Phil. Yes, Ray.
Yeah, I pulled over. I've just been listening. And Phil, when Alex said that they're human beings and you said barely, I really hope you were kidding.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah.
I hope so. Oh, okay, cool. All right. That's all I wanted to check because that was awful.
Yeah, I have some friends that are Saudi and Iranian, and
all right.
I have as much respect for them as I have for everyone else, and I'm a respectful person.
Yeah, I know you are, so I didn't think you meant. Wasn't there another guy who won a Nobel Prize from Egypt? During the what the hell was his name? The guy who led Egypt and Jimmy
Nasser?
Carter. Yeah, didn't he win a Nobel?
Yeah, I think so. There was three of them shared it.
Yeah,
for peace.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So they make the war
like
and
that.
they make the peace, and they get rewarded for making the peace.
Well, I think Israel started that war, didn't they?
Nah, there's been
Wasn't
a lot
that
of
the 6 Days War or this
67
yeah.
6 Day War. They preempted the strike because they all the other countries were surrounding them and ready to strike, so they preempted and staved them off.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Knocked out their air force. And,
I got it.
Yeah.
It's just I'm going back home. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Nobel Prize for Science. Let's see here. Who? Usually it's
this guy invented the zero.
Okay, fine, good. Nobel Prize laureates. Let me see here.
For science, and
Yes, Phil, we know for science. All Nobel Prizes for physics. Let's see who has won them. Let me see here. Here's one for you. Arthur Askin for the optical tweezers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I got 2 pair.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Takai Kajita. He's probably Japanese. You got to remember to begin with, these prizes are given away by white guys. Okay, let's remember that.
They're not white. They're in Norway.
They're white.
Can't get more white.
You can't get more white than that, Phil. George F. Smoot. Hey, you heard a lot about him. Let me see here. Yeah, they're all white guys giving white guy prizes.
Xenophobes, homophobes.
Yeah.
Yada phobes.
Let me see here, though. Peace. Let's look for peace. I think peace is,
Peace is overrated.
Peace Prize winners. Let's see here.
Trump.
Winners of the Nobel Prize for Peace. Okay, here we go. People you never heard. Theodore Roosevelt won one. Did you know that? Yeah, he won one.
Guy who said carry a big stick and
Woodrow Wilson won a Peace Prize, and he was trying for
that
peace
was a fix.
too. No, he was trying for peace. He was very big into that.
Commie.
Let me see here. Other Peace Prizes. Let's go to the modern era here. Let me see here. The American Friends Service Committee, that would be the Quakers, right? Let's see here. Ralph Bunche, Albert Schweitzer, George C. Marshall, the United Nations High Commissioner on Refugees. Let's see here. I'm looking. Linus Pauling, the International.
Linus Pauling was a bigot.
Yeah, but he still won a Nobel Prize.
But he still won a Nobel Peace Prize. Willy Brandt, Henry Kissinger, Lee Duc-Tho, who declined it. He was from North Vietnam. Let's see here. Who else have we got here? Amnesty International. These are all outfits you really like, Phil, so it's nice to know that, Anwar Sadat, Menachem Begin. They won it in the same year. Mother Teresa, that bitch. Let's see
Hooker.
here. Let's see here. Who else do we have here that in recent times?
Isn't Mother Teresa hanging out with Epstein?
Desmond Tutu of South Africa.
Yeah.
Elie Wiesel, who was Weasel. The Dalai Lama, Mikhail Gorbachev.
Mhm.
You know, Nelson Mandela. Let's see here. Yasser Arafat. Okay, there's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Shimon Peres won it that year as well as Yitzhak Rabin, because they were all working for peace at that time. You know? So,
Isn't Jimmy Carter?
Jimmy Carter, he should have won it. Hey, what a good human being he turned out to be.
Yeah.
You know, really great human being. You got to even admit he's a good guy, right, Phil? Come on.
If you need somebody to monitor an election, he's your man.
Yeah. And then a guy you absolutely love and probably agree with him getting the Nobel Peace Prize, because the rest of us can't figure out why. Barack Obama.
Oh,
I mean, let me ask.
What did he do?
Yeah, I still don't know what he did.
He wasn't Bush.
He wasn't Bush.
Yeah.
That's really what he did.
That was a fix.
Well, I don't know that it was a fix. I don't know if the Nobel Peace Prizes, a lot of the prizes aren't a fix. But why, Charlie, do you remember why he got the Nobel Peace Prize? Because we were all scratching.
He got it because he was not George Bush, because George Bush was so warlike doing Afghanistan and Iraq and bombing people and stuff. They didn't know how Obama was going to actually be. He hadn't even taken over the office yet, I don't think, when they gave him the prize.
Yeah. And he continued the war for another 8 years. He didn't stop anything.
No, but
take his prize away. Give me back the money.
Well, yeah, but you've got Trump, who's literally begging for it.
Yeah.
They'll give it to him.
No, they won't.
No, he won't.
No, there's no way he's getting it. No.
Yeah, he's going to put a hotel over in Norway.
You know, if anybody who's gone had anything to do with Norway is going to get the Peace Prize, it's going to be like, AKA Rocky, or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Now, was that Norway or Sweden?
I think it was Norway.
Didn't he say something wrong again? Like you?
No, he said he had a fight. And from what I saw on the tapes, he kept saying, "Hey, I don't want any trouble." And this guy, did a como on him.
Yeah. Well, what happened is he now is
he's home.
He's home, and they just gave him a slap on the wrist. Is what they really gave him. I think they fined him $1,300.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well,
that's nothing.
In Norwegian money, that's a lot.
Yeah. Right. In Norway, that's a lot of money. Yeah.
My crime was more than that.
Huh?
My dental bill when I went was like over $1,000.
Did you see your teeth?
That's true. It should have been
$1,000 should just be the down payment.
By the time you die, those teeth are going to be straight. By the way, Tony, I want you to know that.
I'm so fed up with them. I'm gonna have them. I told my sister I'm so fed up with these teeth. I should have my own casket for them. I want false teeth. I'm hoping for false teeth.
You don't want false teeth.
You don't want false teeth.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, you could just pick them up. I mean, how much work has to be done?
Well, I lost one tooth here, and I'm going to get the implant, even though I probably don't need it. I can live without it, but I'd prefer to have an implant in there. So I'm getting the implant after the first of the year, because my dentist, here's how she works, and she's great at it. She says to me, here's what we got to do. She says, you need the back tooth filled, the one I showed you guys last night, the one that had was almost all metal, and now it looks like a tooth. Yeah. She says you need to do that, and then we have to put there's a temporary crown on a tooth in the front right here.
Okay.
Right here. Okay.
It sounds expensive already.
And so I need a crown. That's going to cost me $700. But what she said is, you do this back tooth. You're going to pay I paid $69 for that, and they paid the rest out of my insurance. Oh, no. She said, you've got so much money, $1,000 left in your insurance. She says, why don't we go work at using that all up so you don't leave any on the table before the end of the year. Because then on January 1st,
it comes back and replenishes.
You get your $1,500, $2,500 again.
Isn't this person just working the system? And why is she so brilliant if she's just looking what your maxes are?
No, but she's working the system.
It.
But she also knows my mouth needs all this work, so she's doing the teeth that really need it first. And then
work on your mouth. You should just wire it shut.
No, she works it out so that I'm not paying much. I've had a lot of work done on my mouth, and I think I paid I paid out maybe $400 or $500 for like deep scale cleaning and 4 fillings.
What did she charge to get the foot out of it?
Well, all I know is she's really good. She's really good. I mean, I feel like I'm getting my mouth back.
Hey, I switched insurance plans just to have my dentist because I have a dentist like yours.
Yeah.
And he's so good that I didn't care if I had to pay for it with no insurance. I was going to continue to go to him. I switched.
She's in network.
Yeah.
So I get the price that Delta Dental says she should be charging for any particular thing, which is a lot cheaper. Like the implants, usually about $5,000. It's only going to cost $3,200, of which I'm going to pay half.
Well,
okay.
I had Delta HMO through Kaiser, and they didn't take that. So I called up. I have an insurance guy through my company, and I said, well, get me insurance. So they got me a Meritas. They pay 90% of the stuff up to $2,500.
I don't think it's 90% of everything because they have like fillings and stuff. They pay 75%. For the implant, it's going to be 50%. For a crown, it's 50%. For cleanings, it's 100%. Okay.
What does your person charge for a cleaning?
That I don't know because I haven't had a normal cleaning yet. I had a deep scale cleaning, and that is exceptional, and that costs a lot more.
I've been paying out of pocket $175 for a cleaning, and I go 3 times a year.
Yeah, well, I paid $140, which was my portion of the deep scale cleaning, and I don't know what percentage that was of that, but I needed that. That was in fact, it's very strange. They said, I'm almost running out of time here. They said that they could only cover 1/2 of my mouth per visit. In other words, they couldn't clean my whole mouth. They had to do half my mouth. And at one point, she went over to the other side of the mouth a little bit, cleaning some. Don't do that. But why? Why they didn't say do it all at once and here's what you're going to charge? That made no sense at all.
And people complain about the price of carpet.
Well, all I'm saying is that we know that if we're going to have, medical in this country, medical paid by the government, Medicare for all, we should also have dental included in that as well. Because dental, I think, is very important, and it's important to your health, whatever.
It's included in Bernie's bill.
Yep. Good for Bernie.
Unfortunately,
Bernie's not going to get nominated, so. But what the hell? Anyway, that's it. That's it for tonight, huh?
It's a Bernie.
Yeah, it's a Bernie. Yeah. Anyway, hey, listen, it's been a nice night tonight. It hasn't been too terrible, I got through it alive. We just lost Ray, but thank you, Ray. Thank you, Jeff. Oh, there he is. He came back just in time for the end of the show. Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you very much, Tony. We appreciate your existence here on this program. Charlie, great to see you, and always good to see you, Kevin. And we'll all move to Mount Disappointment together. Anyway,
Tony's in the red light district.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know what that red light.
They street now in the front, Alex. They make it so much noise. The city.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, listen, we got to go. Everybody, why don't you give a big wave goodbye, and I'll wave back at you. Okay. There they go, ladies and gentlemen. Aren't they pretty? Looks like the Brady Bunch. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm Alex Bennett. That's our little get-together. Let me get rid of everybody here, and let me also close down the Skype so that Jack Bishop can use it next for his program called The Intersection, which is next over most of this same GabNet. Okay? I'll be back tomorrow night after Damian Chaplin does the exchange at 9:30 at 10 o'clock. I'll be here, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.